Hey everybody. It's having fun making videos today. But serious shit going on. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I have my CSI shirt on because I believe right now I'm investigating the biggest crime against the world. So, to solve that mystery, I think for people to have a better understanding of it, you have to understand the monetary system. I never questioned the monetary system my whole life. I never really had a reason to until 2007. Obviously, it was interested in money. Everybody's interested in money. It's like this thing that runs our lives, but nobody ever questions it. You know, we never question where it comes from, how we got to our current system, and it's just it boggled my mind. I watched Zeitgeist in 2007, and it blew my mind. It affected me so much. I went into my backyard right down the road. I live down the road. I'm here in Pensacola, and I cried because everything that I thought I believed to be true, there was a good possibility, and it turned out that there was a 100% chance that it wasn't true. And that was all tied to understanding money and understanding how it's created, where it comes from. It's deep. I started to, at that time, I started to follow Ron Paul for a lot of reasons. He started to talk about the central bank, and he started talking about basically looking into the Federal Reserve System and auditing them. Nobody audits them. We have a central bank. Actually, I made notes. Let me. I just started talking. Yeah. So, if you ask 10 people what money is, you'll get 10 different answers. It's amazing, man. People do not understand the system, or how we ended up in this system. There's a documentary called The Secret of Oz, the Secret of Oz movie, which I'll put a description, or I'll put a link in the description here, and it gives you a better idea of how we ended up with our current system. It basically comes down to this: every time a central bank has got control of the money supply, that means how much money is in circulation. Every time that's happened in history, those countries have gone to shit. President Lincoln tried to get a sound currency, and they shot him because the central banks were trying to get in. He was trying to get the greenback and for a sound currency. It's always been an issue throughout every country. Andrew Jackson fought the central bank, and he said if a central bank ever got control of our monetary system, that we would all end up homeless, and something like that. It was a great quote. President Kennedy started to question the media and the powers that be, and he may have been part of it, who knows, but they shot him because he was exposing the media and the elites. And I think he was trying to do the right thing. But if you really go back and look at the history of money, watch the Zeitgeist movie, watch the Secret of Oz movie. Those are two big ones that'll give you a better understanding of what's happening. It's about control and power, and the people who make the money, really make the money, they make it out of thin air. They make it out of nothing. People are saying, well, we're on a gold standard. No, we're not on a gold standard. Even if you go back to the first Great Depression, we weren't on a gold standard then. Only 5% of the money was backed by gold. So if you had $100,000 in the bank, they gave you $5,000. That's it. Back in 1970, or after that in 1970, when Nixon was in office, well, I'm pretty sure it was 1970, 1% of the money was backed by gold. 1%. And at that time, they had a secret meeting on this island, and they just took us totally off the gold standard. So, now, the money was based on only 1% of the money was based on something. Now, 0% of the money was based on, and so, every time you see any words like stimulus package, quantitative easing, anytime you open a credit card, whatever, it's just an expansion of the money supply. The more money that's in circulation, the less each dollar in your digital system now is worth. That's how it works. So when you hear these trillions of dollars passed around, I mean, they're expanding the money supply by $3 trillion. You know, it's like everyone's like, well, what about the national debt and all that? I mean, let me tell you, if there was no debt, there would be no money. Money is debt. Debt is money. If all the debt was paid back, there would be no money in circulation. So the whole system is based on debt. And it's fucking bizarre, man. It's like this, it's this thing that we all accept. We've all just accepted that a bunch of psychopaths, and that's what they are. These people are nuts. We gave them not only control of the US dollar, now every other currency is tied to the dollar. And you know, everyone, I hear people say, well, we're borrowing money from China. No, we're not. We're not borrowing money from China. We borrow money from the central bank. That's China, United States, Russia, none of this has anything to do with it. It's a bunch of bankers that manipulate all of this. These people have funded both sides of every war for hundreds of years. The same families, the same group of people have funded both sides of wars for years. And if you don't think understanding what's going on now has anything to do with the monetary system, you are wrong. Everything to do with the monetary system. Everything to do with it. And all they're doing now is trying to preserve that system because of the internet, and because a lot of people have woken up to this. Sorry about the background, but a lot of people have woken up to this scam. It's the biggest Ponzi scam ever in the history, and now they're throwing the last things at us. So you can say what you want. I don't want to even use the word of the so-called pandemic that's going on, because YouTube will flag me for it. So what's happening now, what all these events have been, was to control the people, control the narratives. They own everything. They fucking own everything, you know? We haven't been free in our lifetimes. It is this illusion of freedom. But we're seeing it right now on steroids. We are seeing a bunch of criminals that are hijacking each and every person's lives. It was already bad enough. Now, they're talking about going house to house. They're talking about some crazy shit. They want people to put this shit around their face. That is not to protect you. That is to show submission to the fucking state. That is all that's about. Our personal freedoms have got stomped on. The Constitution has got ripped apart. And it was already a terrible situation. All right, and now it has gotten out of control. And if people don't wake up quick, we're gonna find ourselves in. You can go back to the blueprints. They've done this in Germany. They've done this in Russia. They've done this, and they've done this. They've done this throughout history. You know, this is not a joke. This is something that everyone needs to stand up for, and don't let these people tell you what to think, how to act, or who to be. Look deep inside yourself. Look inside of you and find out what your truth is. But I'm telling you, if you really start to look at the monetary system and start to dig deep and how we ended up here, the whole deal that we're going to will make so much more sense to you. So anyway, I love y'all very much. I hope that had some value to it. If it did, please like and subscribe, and all that. Still getting used to this YouTube thing. Love y'all.